really rusty last night are going to have their hands full. I mean, you think of Winston Tabbs, Jay Heath, guys that can really get after it, put a lot of pressure on the defense by getting downhill. And look out for NcaaAF Langford. He's been really good. Just very vague analysis, sorry. He's been really good.
One of the other things to mention for Boston College and Jim Christian is they got James Karnick ready to play as he has finally gotten his waiver approved. They get the bucket inside, and there's your guy, Trey Mann, on the cut and the easy deuce. As we take a look at our starting lineups brought to you by Superstart Batteries for Boston College, NcaaAF Langford, Heath and Tabbs, Felder, and Stephon Mitchell does the dirty work, the defense and the glass. And mention James Karnick will be coming off the bench, the Lehigh transfer. For Florida, it's Man-Lock Lewis, Johnson, and Colin Castleton. Inside, and they go possession arrow. It'll stay with Boston College. James Karnick, who is huge. I mean, hit the weights. Let's go.
How many protein shakes in a day does that take?
Inside Felder, and does that count? Yeah, it does. Although I think they're going to go take a peek at it.
You know, we joke about his size, but ultimately to have a little depth in the front court, it's, you can't say enough of how important it is. The game has gotten so guard-oriented, but you need depth in the front court, both on an offensive and a defensive end. I think he got it off, right?
I'm going to need another look.
You're indecisive.
That's where I am right now. I'm just sort of...
Trust my instincts, dude.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay. Great work by our producer, Scott Gustafson, director, Mike Roig. And we showed you James Karnick, though. He's from British Columbia, so the Canada native grad transfer from Lehigh, and a guy that'll help them offensively. He averaged a little over a dozen points a game last year, and will help him on the glass. And there's a turnover, and going the other way is Winston Tabbs. And Heath traveled. Well, Jim Christian, 7th year at BC, and a guy who knows this Northeast New England area quite well. He played 2 seasons of college hoops for Rick Pitino at BU, and then went on to Rhode Island and played for Tom Penders, including that group that went to the Sweet 16. He plays high school basketball for Ralph Willard. Nice work there.
No, I kind of want to go back to Karnick for a second. And you think about what he adds, even if just a screener, he adds wearing down your opponent. How important that is to have a screener, an occupier on the block, someone to make other bigs work. And they really don't have that at this point.
Inside, and that one rattles out for NcaaAF Langford. Boston College up by 2 in the early going, and here is Mann. High off the glass, that time wouldn't go out of bounds. It stays Florida basketball.
That's great. I can play. Yeah. His voice is probably deep.
I can't even imagine how frustrated he's been to see so many other guys who have gotten the waiver. And there's the bucket and the foul for Colin Castleton.
Castleton's the kind of guy who I think this is a good fit for him. I liked him at Michigan. He's very well coached. But he comes back home, and he can be a real impact. But yeah, you go back to that. You and I talked about this, and I said, it's the information age, right? So people in general just feel entitled to transparency. And that's the thing the NCAA really has done. We don't know that's inconsistent. There's no transparency. And you're talking about the future livelihood of kids, but also the opportunity to play right now. It's just just be consistent. If you're not going to be consistent, you better be transparent.
Mitchell, he can hit that. Gets knocked to the floor. Florida by a point here, just getting started. Second part of our Roman Legends Classic doubleheader. And they're going to get the foul. Colin Castleton will be charged with that foul. Mike White, 6th season as head coach. They were finally able to play a game on Wednesday against Army. Picked up the win after having each of their previous 3 scheduled games canceled due to COVID-19. They were going to play UMass Lowell, UVA, and Oklahoma.
I mean, they were rusty against Army, but you have to give Army credit. They've played a few games already. They looked polished, and they were deep. They shot the ball well, but Florida just able to pull it out. And that's really all you want to do in that first game is just find a way to get the win and hopefully build upon it in game 2.
Inside, and the bucket will go, and Tabs with that nice move.
Yeah, it's a great move, but defensively, you're backing up on your heels. Big time shot, Keontae Johnson. You can't just back up on your heels while someone's dribbling at you full speed. You've got to at least slow down the basketball, meet them higher.
He gives it outside to Felder, and that rolls around, and it's pulled down by Noah Locke. Here's Mann now. He gets fouled and one. That is a nice bucket. Maintain the body control, and the sophomore will go to the line.
This kid offensively just has so many skills. He put on about 15 pounds of muscle, 1 or 2 inches in height. I would say 3 if it was me, but he's got a great offensive repertoire. He's just got to get more solid on the defensive end because it really is going to help what they want to do offensively. If as a collective group you've got 5 guys, particularly your guards, that can contain the basketball, force tough shots, those tough shots lead to runouts, and then you can start to play with the pace that Mike White wants. Where I said 326 out of 359 nationally in pace of play last year. That's hard to believe.
Very. Mann, who had a team-high 19 6 boards in just 22 minutes in the win against Army, also with 4 assists. And that one thrown away. And a timeout on the court as Rich Kelly checks. And Florida with the early lead here in Bubbleville. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball.
Like, you don't understand, with experience too. I mean, some of these older guys been someplace else. It's such a great addition, particularly if it fits in terms of the way he was coached. If it fits what you want to do.
And inside right there, the bucket for Keontae Johnson.
Already, the defensive bit has been better. At least the attention to defense. I'm not going to call it attention to detail, but it didn't seem like Florida was that interested in playing defense against Army. They look much better now. We've seen a few run jumps, picking up full court pressure.
Kelly getting into the paint. Stops Karnick outside. Jumper wouldn't go. And now it's Trey Mann into the front court. Locke handles from just to the side of the elbow. Karnick pulls down the rebound, and DeMar Langford Jr. in the game here. Jay Heath. And now Kelly. And he buries that jumper. Rich Kelly, the transfer from Quinnipiac.
It's funny, that's such a hard play to cover. If you drive at your own man and he just keeps backing up, the defender always seems to follow the basketball and that guy gets open. It's just so hard to maintain principles.
Good hands there. And inside, nice feed. The find as Payne gets it to Johnson. Rich Kelly's a guy that I feel like so far for BC has come in, given him solid minutes, made good decisions, helped out offensively a bit.
He's aggressive. I mean, it's that. I mean, he's really seeking out shot opportunities. He can knock down shots, but he's aggressive going to the basket, which makes him less one-dimensional.
Lewis to man, feed inside. Payne had a chance, could put it home, and BC the other way. Florida leads it by 6. Down low, Karnik going to work on Payne. Inside off the glass and good.
That's just pretty if you have room to work. And if you can trust him to do that, you wonder if you can see Karnik and Stephon Mitchell in the game at the same time, you know, depending on how you want to match up with an opponent.
And that one inside, and Payne able to get that to go. 17-11 to Florida with the lead. 13:01 to go first half.
That came off the backboard. That was a pretty terrific, I mean, a quietly terrific catch from Payne. Don't know if there's a word for that one.
Out of bounds, it stays with Florida. All right, so more college basketball coming your way Sunday afternoon. Villanova and Texas. And that'll be at 1 Eastern. And then the crosstown shootout rivalry game, Xavier and Cincinnati. Those schools just 3 miles apart. And then at 5 Eastern, Kentucky against Georgia Tech in Atlanta. Trey Mann able to bury that one.
He's the kind of kid who's going to improve game to game, and you can already see it. And I said it yesterday. I think they played yesterday. Geez, it all bleeds together. Yesterday, it's almost like the more responsibility you give a kid like that, because he's a highly touted recruit, big-time kid coming in, the more responsibility you give him, the easier it is for them to perform. You almost seen that over the past couple games.
Second team foul against the Gators.
Get the foul on Scotty Lewis. And checking in, Niles Lane. Ashton Langford handling here. And that one tipped away, nicely done. And then the toss back, and they get it to DeRuggi. Wow.
Yeah, but he's got that little sizzle in his game,
yeah,
man. He's got a little shake, a little bounce, little sauce. I mean, he has a lot of fun. Guys like this are a lot of fun to play with because they'll do things that most coaches say don't do that. But it's really fun when it works. No crowd to get excited, but we like it.
It's a 7-0 Florida run.
So he really didn't have much of a choice, right? Well, there's always a choice.
There is. Kelly gives off here. They get it down to Karnik, who lost the handle, but it ends up with Mitchell. You have the answer to your question. Will they play Karnik and Mitchell together? Loose ball. And they're going to say Florida basketball.
C.J. Felder returns for Boston College.
So C.J. Felder will check back in. Karnik, his BC debut.
I like how they have a little bit more versatility. And when I mean versatility is lineup versatility, not just like skill set. You can match up differently. You can also, if you got somebody an opponent in foul trouble, you go into Karnik in the post. I think it just gives you options. Double dribble. Okay. Carry's like holding in football. You can call it every play. Like, Like the NBA's done some things, you know, with like that step back, the gather rule. You know, it's like you're validating, you're justifying a travel. That's what you're doing. But everybody to some degree carries the basketball.
I mean, you're veering really close towards get off my lawn a little bit.
Look, there are times.
Fans, a reminder, we'll have the second game of the 19th annual Women's Jimmy V Classic tomorrow, 6:30 Eastern, ESPN and ESPN app. And we got number 5 Louisville against number 20 DePaul Friday, 6:30. Ryan Rucco, Rebecca Lobo. I believe they are in the bubble.
Quarantining.
They are quarantining as we speak. Or maybe they're watching. Hope you guys are well. I am happy to hand my crown of mayor of Bubbleville over to Rucco. Felder off to Kelly. Now the give back. Spinning inside CJ, and they get the foul. And Felder will go to the line against St. John. CJ Felder, a career high 18 points.
It's just a different look. Yeah, and I go back to that. I'm kind of looking at the different lineups that Jim Christian can play. And with Felder, it's a tough matchup because of what he can do off the bounce. He can step out and shoot it. With Karnik, it's the ability to put him in the post and make you defend. And possibly get a guy into foul trouble. And a little versatility with your lineups is good, particularly when you're playing one of the best conferences in college basketball.
And the horn alerts us that Omar Payne is coming into the game.
We're just chuckling about it. Because it really does sound like a Honda Civic's coming down the tunnel. It's got like a headlight out, duct tape.
Boston College fouls on 41. Stephon Mitchell.
Nothing like the garden horn though, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? It's just feels right.
Derugi not able to hit. And BC the other way down by 7. Tabs jumper. That's no good. One and done. Johnson the board. And here come the Gators. Johnson full head of steam, and he puts it in.
A scouting report for BC says Johnson wants to go right and he's a charge candidate. I just don't think anybody wants to be a candidate for taking a charge. Not on Keontae Johnson.
Yeah, 6'5", 230.
Yeah, he gets a rebound. I mean, who's stopping this, right? You have to stop that early. If you're going to stop it at all, show a little bit. When I say show a little bit, you don't have to sprint to half court and stop him right there. You want to show to slow him down. And in that case, you're able to funnel him to one side or the other, but not give him a lane to the basket.
Johnson almost lost the handle. Mitchell goes to help. Derugi. Shot clock's at 10. Lewis collects, fadeaway shot contested, inside, a putback, Omar Payne. He had one hand being grabbed and he was able to collect it and put it in.
He's had 2 quasi-circus shots with off the backboard alley-oop and then losing his left hand there and still getting it to go. Between him and Castleton, if you can get consistency from that position, Castleton will be able to shoot a little bit more, but if you can get consistency inside, considering the guard play they have, it could be dangerous, and they could also help with the pace of play.
We're off the mark, and Payne knocks it out of bounds.
You don't have to do that much, right? You know, we're not asking you to set ball screens, pick and pop, hit threes, but these are the things that you can do and make your team better. Second chance opportunities. You got all sorts of grabs, but still finished.
Makai Ashton Langford handling here as Mitchell pops out, and then they give off to Heath, who's been pretty quiet so far. Heath gets inside, finds Felder with the scoop and good for C.J. Felder, and that was made from the penetration by Jay Heath.
Well, Heath plays so low. Most guys get low and they lose balance. Heath gets low and he stays on balance, and he also plays low and has his head up. It's really hard to do. It's almost like that's part of his natural gait anyway. He just kind of has a low stance as he goes down. It's just a strange thing. Oh man, that's ugly.
Lock wide open, it buries a three, and it is all Gators. They're up by a dozen. We close in on the 8-minute mark here in the first half. Tabs is coming off that knee injury, missed about 21 months. And now Felder puts it on the floor and gets fouled. On the floor. All Gators here in the early going. Their offense in sync. Up by a dozen. Getting it done in close. Appleby with the nice feed.
And in the end, you just have a little more fun. And when you have talent and you have a good time, you usually win basketball games.
And a turnover for Boston College, just to put a tag on that point. Florida in the Army game, 10 total assists. They've already got 8 in this one.
Yeah, you share the ball when you get moving. You notice that the defense is chasing the play, so you move it a little bit quicker. Yesterday it was a lot of just trying to create for yourselves, and part of it is the fact you feel like you can take the players from Army, but the reality is they were locked in. They played a few games, and they're playing high-level basketball too.
Jumper wouldn't go there as DeRuggi not able to hit. And BC's gotten really sloppy.
I think it was simple stuff, like Florida for the first time. They really didn't do it at all yesterday. Started to run and jump a little bit. And the run and jump is not really to force a turnover. It's just to make you uncomfortable. It's to be disruptive. And it has worked so far. It has led to a few unforced errors.
Inside, that one in and out from Noah Locke. And now it's Heath. Hesitation.
Look how low he gets. It's hard to defend.
Yeah, he does. 6'3", DC kid. And Makai Ashton Langford draws the contact. Take a look at Jay Heath.
Look, he's just, I mean, really hard to defend. I mean, some of the best players in the world, you know, you think of, I mean, even John Wall, right? Huge contract. Guy, he stands up tall, and when he burst hard to the left and to the right, he gets so low to the ground that you become really difficult to defend. Jordan in his day used to do that. First step, boom, really low to the ground, pull up on a dime, really difficult to defend, but it's even harder to stay on balance. Jay Heath does it well.
Tabs from the corner on the Kelly feed and buries it. And they're within 9.
Tabs isn't just shooting it with confidence, he's seeking it out with confidence, and usually they kind of go hand in hand.
Man inside spinning, right hand good.
Does he have blue in his hair?
I think there is a tiny bit of blue, yeah?
I mean, it's just one of those things where you got to play well now. You know, if you have blue and orange in your hair, which is cool, it's your team colors, you got to live up to it. That's like if you have a tattoo that says like Philly's finest or something like that. You better be good, you know? Let me just say, I've played with a few guys that have had them and they were not.
And they weren't good.
Oh, no, not good. Really? Yeah.
Man, I got red and gray in my hair. I don't know what's the big deal.
Florida substitution number 22, Tyree.
Natural.
Yeah, look at that. I thought,
Yeah.
look, he's playing well. And I go back to the things you do in the offseason, how much it helps you improve year over year. You come in as a freshman, you're 15 pounds lighter, and surprisingly enough, he was shorter. You know, you learn the game that way, and then you go, this is what I need to be effective. Good for him for doing it.
Heath traveled. They got him again. Terry Weimer on the call. And for BC, that is their 8th turnover. Did you grow in college, or were you at max height when you got there?
I shrunk in college.
Did you? What was the biggest you were ever listed in the media guide?
6'3" in high school.
Oh my God.
Yeah, look, you stood by me. Now, I did break 3 vertebrae in my back, so I'm sure it's, you know.
Man with the triple, and they're up by 14. They had you listed at 6'3".
Look, we all shrink sometime or another. Some just shrink sooner than others.
We've all been through a lot. Here's Heath now. Feeds inside Kelly. Kelly dribbling and couldn't quite get it to go. And Scotty Lewis got hit hard, and he is still down.
This is where we say shot to the midsection.
Yeah, just got elbowed in a bad spot. So Mike White and Jim Christian gather their groups together. Florida leading 34-20. John Shambi and John Crispin.
I assume they're looking at this to see if this was an elbow thrown. I have a feeling it's going to be a play on. And guess what just happened, Boo?
Yeah. No call.
No call, and I kind of called it.
Yeah, you did. The beloved John Crispin, no call. All Florida here so far. And the Gators shooting over 50% from the floor. Manhandling. Lost it momentarily, and then they give off Lewis, who stays in the game. Steps back, high arcing shot, and one, and he fouled him. That's a pretty good shot from Scotty Lewis.
Go back to it, and I've said this before, if you're a right-handed shooter, you want to go to your left and hit a step back because you're already squared up in your shooting pocket. So many people think if you're right-handed, you want to shoot a step back, you go to the right. But you have to get your shoulders all the way turned around to the basket. When you go to the left, you're already square to the basket. Easier shot, higher percentage shot.
An 8-0 Florida run, and they lead by 17. BC's got to find something offensively. When they get a foul, was it on Castleton or was it on Appleby? Not sure.
Looks like Appleby.
On 22, Tyree Appleby.
It'll be on Tyree Appleby.
I think Mike White's learning about a lot of his different pieces.
At the line for Boston
And
College.
kind of throughout that process, you figure out who really plays well together, which I think every coach is going through that. But a guy like Appleby's an interesting one. Is he a point guard? Really doesn't have to be. He's just a playmaker. And in a time in college basketball where we've accepted that there really isn't a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 5. You just have playmakers, and you all kind of fill a spot, hole, or role. And a guy like Appleby's just dangerous on the floor, whatever he's surrounded by.
17-point advantage now. Man to the corner. Johnson wide open and embarrassing. That's a little too easy, especially for a guy who's a preseason Player of the Year candidate for the whole SEC. Can't let him sit all by himself there.
Well, it just also seems out of character for BC. They've been so good to start this year. Yeah, the record may not show that, but they've played really good teams.
Kelly can't hit Karnick the rebound. And an offensive foul. Florida doubling up Boston College. Under 4 to go first half. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball. Visiting at half with all of you. Kevin Salmon, head coach. As our game here, the Roman Legends Classic, it is all Florida. They lead by 20 on that 14-3 run. John Chomby, John Crispin. And Johnson gets fouled.
You know, it's not that Florida, I'm watching this, it's not that Florida's doing anything that much different. Differently, whatever the correct thing is. They're not doing anything that much differently. They're just playing with a sense of urgency. They're cutting harder. They're spacing the floor better. Their eyeballs are following the basketball. They're communicating. And it's just those little things when you apply the potential and the talent and even some of the depth that they've got on this team, it doesn't take much to have a good performance. Like yesterday, last night, it just was so rusty. They couldn't make simple passes. They tried to do too much. They've actually played a simpler game and have looked 10 times better.
They've done a pretty good job on BC on the defensive end. Boston College shooting at 40% in this first half and just the 20 points. Kelly inside, left hand, and flips it up and in.
He really does just get after it. He looks to score, he looks to create something, and I think that's what you need at this point. Well, that's exactly what you need. You're down 20 points in the first half.
And an air ball from Ruzhentsev.
Ruzhentsev's just got to get it going. He will get it going. He's a great shooter. And Kelly has figured out guys are going to play him tight around the three-point line, so you've got to be able to keep the defense honest by driving it. Right now he's asking Terry Weimer for a foul call, but right to verticality. If you initiate contact, you're not getting that call. Officials have done such a good job getting that right. I think the first year when they started to do that right to verticality, it was just a mess.
Tough, yep.
I mean, it was so inconsistent. I mean, within one crew, one guy gets it right and the other guy doesn't. It was just such a mess. But right now, you can tell how much film the officials watch, and they figured it out.
Lamar Langford Jr. knocks down the first free throw. 3:07 to go here. Wes Glover into the game for the Gators. Man being harassed by Heat. And they get the block on Karnick.
Wes Glover's one of those guys. He played good minutes last year. The assist to turnover issue was the problem. I mean, 19 assists and 40 turnovers, that's a problem. Man has really come along, and I think the potential was already there, and the graphic kind of says it all. I mean, he really has come on to make himself a go-to guy. And when you have the ball in your hands and you got guys like Keontae Johnson, you got Locke around the perimeter that can knock down threes, you start to establish a balance that allows you to play the way you want to play. And I think Mike White's starting to figure that out.
And we jokingly talked about Trey Mann being from Gainesville. Where else are you going to go? But, you know, he was recruited by Kansas, by North Carolina.
I just think there's always something special when guys stay close to home. There's just a connection to it. You don't have to. I'm not saying that if you're someplace, if you live in State College, PA, you don't have to go to Penn State. It's kind of hard not to in that place. But
Kelly almost lost the ball. Mitchell, shot contested, and he buries it. Stephon Mitchell with Castleton rushing out on him, trying to answer his lock, and he does.
But that defensive pressure that gave up an open shot actually gave them the tempo that they wanted. We've been saying this all week with some of these different teams that want to play fast. St. John's in particular did that. At times you got to run and jump, gamble a little bit, give something up, and that gives you the pace that you want. And no offense to Stephon Mitchell, but that's the guy you should be okay with shooting the three.
They tried to find Karnick. Now it's a loose ball, and it ends up with the Gators. Langford to Mitchell, and he will go to the line. Stephon Mitchell, the senior, able to draw the contact.
Stephon Mitchell, I think nuts and bolts kind of guy. That's like my new saying, I think. Really, nuts and bolts. Yeah, I got full skull, kind of call it nuts and bolts. Like they call it glue guy, right? Whatever you want to call it, X factor. Nuts and bolts, man. Like, who can set good screens? Who can communicate on the back line on defense? Who gets rebounds? Who can open or make open shots? Who makes everybody else better? Who doesn't need the ball every single time down floor? Nuts and bolts guy, that guy. Wish you had. You pull up Boog's camera, would you? Put him in a box, will you?
Nobody puts Boog in a box.
There he is.
How are you, America?
That is the mayor's speech.
We have a lot of people asking about term limits on the mayor of Bubbleville. Floater right there, and there are a couple things about it. Yes, I have my own parking spot in the lane. There's all sorts of, just perks that come along with being mayor of Bubbleville.
So you were here when? That's what you got here
a week ago Sunday. This past Sunday, a week ago.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
man, that's big time.
I'm the mayor of Bubbleville.
You really
Yeah.
are. It's remarkable.
It's I'm not sure what as I leave, what type of whether this goes to just a straight up the Senate or what what happens, what type of government takes over. But
Kevin Brown hasn't come of age yet, so he's not going to be able to take over for you.
I think he's certainly capable.
Yeah.
He's going to decide. That's who's going to decide. Let's do the sprinkler and take a selfie. Under a minute to go, it's a 20-point game, and they get the foul, a push-off, I think, on Appleby.
Not legal screen.
Nope, it'll be on Omar Payne, I beg your pardon.
How many times have you heard that, right? If you're going to get a ball screen, wait for the screen. It's really hard. You don't really see a ton of screens anymore. Obviously, see that double back screen. That's hard to cover, but real screens, it's such a risk. It gets called so much now. You have to be set. Ooh.
Right there, DeMar Langford Jr. was thinking about a highlight type of play, but he got contested. So Florida basketball. This is Tyree Appleby, the Cleveland State transfer, with 15 points off the bench in the win against Army.
Just makes plays.
And he's got quickness.
You can tell guys enjoy playing with him.
Give off to Locke. Out of bounds. And Boston College basketball, 3.3 seconds to go in the first half.
Did this shock you a little bit?
Absolutely. That is this spread, and that Florida has had such an easy time of it. Yeah, I've been, I know BC's won it too, but I've been fairly impressed. That's off the mark. 49-29 at the half. Mann and Johnson combined for 29. It's the Jeep halftime report. Kevin Connors.
All right, we're 1 to 20 minutes for the floor.
It's good. Now you've seen this, the transition from yesterday to today. They're sharing the basketball, but most importantly, I feel like they're locked in and having a good time. When you have fun, you play better basketball.
Florida's got some quickness, some athleticism. We saw Appleby into the game off the bench, give them a boost, and
he's the ideal. He gives you a spark guy.
Right.
He's a spark guy. We say that too much about other guys, but Appleby's really a spark guy.
Tabs jumps out, locked into the paint, puts it up, and it rattles home. And Florida, the Gators lead it by 22.
Yeah, if you're Boston College coming out of the half, all you want, you go, look, we're going to be on defense first. Let's have one really good defensive possession and see if we can capitalize, but no.
Lewis not able to finish, and now it's Mitchell the other way. Felder into the paint, kick out Tabs, and rattles that home. Winston Tabs coming off the 23-point performance against St. John's. He's got 10 in this one. Steal, Tabs up ahead. He's got a dozen.
At what point if BC will try to pick up and pressure a little bit? Obviously, it's early. There's plenty of time. I mean, really, you're trying to get back into a game like this. You make a little run, you get down by 10, and all of a sudden it's a basketball game. So there's no reason to pressure to the point where you're gambling and making yourselves vulnerable, but you do want to be disruptive at some point here soon in the second half, because that's too easy.
Just a physical move, getting inside. And the precision to hit that shot. So Florida back to a 20-point lead. Keontae Johnson with 16. He lost it off his foot, out of bounds. It's a turnover. Jay Heath just hasn't been able to get anything going.
Really, it's space to work, and he's been good when he's been able to get to the baseline, but nothing getting inside the paint. And part of that, you have to credit Florida's defense. A good defense gives you things that they want to give you and takes away the things that they don't want you to have. And that's what really good defenses do. And I've got to say, Florida's been a much better defense as a collective unit today versus yesterday, where it's almost as if they made a decision to say, we're going to give you this, but you're not getting inside the paint. We're going to give you a tough drive on the baseline, but we're not going to allow you to turn the corner around the elbow.
Lob inside, Keontae Johnson, BC. Flat-footed that time, and two more for Keontae. He's got 18.
And that's simple communication. Anybody on the ball, is anybody calling? I mean, the lob is there. If there's no pressure on the ball, it's an easy toss-up. See, who's talking in this situation? Now, is anybody on the ball? No, no one's on the ball. If no one's on the ball, you've got to be concerned with that first and foremost, which means you have to see the basketball. See man, see ball, simple principle, easiest thing to forget.
Felder gets it inside, has it rejected. And that one missed by Mekhi Ashton Langford from in close. Now man the other way, they're up by 22. Felder along the baseline. Castleton blocks it. And then they get the foul on Ashton Langford.
I've said a lot about Castleton and transferring here to Florida. Obviously, a kid's opportunity to come home. But you think about the coaching that these guys have already received. And again, you have to look at it and say, well, how has what he's been coached help me? What don't I have to teach this kid? Where can I get him focused? You know, where is he best suited for my offense or defense? And Castleton's a good kid, shoots it well, spaces it well, and is actually more physical than you realize, particularly the time he spent in the Big Ten.
Too easy. Man gets inside and then just hits the brakes and puts it up and in. 17 down for Trey. Driving to the rim is Ashton Langford, and he gets fouled.
One of the other things, too, to follow is you see these lopsided games. No fans.
Yeah.
I get this sense that with no fans either way, there's just less motivation to bring the energy when you're down big. And I'll be interested to follow that throughout the course of the season. So when you're on the road and your opponent goes on a run and the crowd goes crazy, you have this pride that gets you. It grabs you and you bring a little extra effort. When you're at home and you're rolling, your crowd's going crazy, you feel it, it picks you up. You really have to have somebody or a few guys on the floor, a few guys on the bench that can rally the troops, get everybody together, because right now I'm not sure where the leadership is for BC, at least from an emotional standpoint.
Lewis puts that one up. That'll fall. Florida just making bucket after bucket. Tabs inside, had it blocked. Keontae Johnson the other way. Johnson, good hands by Ashton Langford. Out of bounds. And it'll be Florida basketball when we return. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Lowe's, home for the holidays. They were super young, probably, at least for some, underperformed. They played a really tough non-conference schedule, and then they ended up leading the SEC in field goal percentage and in three-point field goal percentage in conference play. Lost a couple of transfers, including Andrew Nembhard, who moved on to Gonzaga. And here they are. What's your take on this team? I mean, they're picked to be top 4 or so in the SEC.
I think it depends how they match up with some of the better teams in the SEC. I think the versatility is going to be what helps them the most. The fact that they've got 3, 4, 5 guys in terms of guards, forwards, wings, whatever you want to call them, that can make plays, that's going to help them. And it also helps them with the pace. As I said before, 326 out of 359 nationally in pace of play. That is not what Mike White wants. And when you're trying to recruit us to a certain style, right? You're trying to recruit a certain type of player to play a certain style, you better actually be that on the floor. So I do think it's going to help not only this season with them being competitive, but also getting the type of players that he wants to be able to play the way he wants to play. That was a lot.
You don't anticipate that they'll play that slowly this year, do you?
No, I don't think they can. Look, they had the personnel with Kerry Blackshear and obviously Andrew Nembhard, who's having a great year already with Gonzaga. They had the personnel that was better in the half court, didn't push as much, so they did adjust. Now, they were effective and efficient in the half court, but again, you talk about pace of play, it doesn't really suit the way your coach wants to play. It doesn't suit the way he recruits, and that's going to be an issue. It's an inconsistency.
Kelly inside off the glass. That wouldn't go. Loose ball. Lewis tried to track it down. I think it was off Kelly. And it'll be Florida basketball. All right, triple header coming up on Sunday. Talking college basketball. Villanova and Texas. That'll be 1 Eastern. I believe that'll be Dan Schulman and Fran Fraschilla. And then Xavier Cincinnati in the crosstown shootout. And then at 5, we'll have Kentucky and Georgia Tech. Lewis from Appleby.
You can see when Applebee's on the floor, they look to do things that they otherwise don't do. And there's just something, you just see him coming. Here comes Scotty Lewis, and he knows Applebee's the guy that'll throw it up there. He's just got, again, a wiggle.
Yeah, no doubt.
Shimmy, right? Like, just like, he comes out and plays as if the ball just got rolled out, and he's like, I got next. And I love it. There's, the unpredictable's impossible to cover, right? If you scout that dude, you say, hey, look, be prepared for anything. Have fun with that. Greatest guy to bring off the bench. And when you have guys like that, you think, all right, well, they're going to be able to score around the perimeter. Well, they've also been able to get inside. Now, I think the part of that is the fact that they've done it off the bounce. The fact that you barely got past Army. +4 tonight, +18. That's significant.
Yeah, points in the paint have been a big part of the story here tonight. Much better for Florida than against Army. Kelly gets into the paint and then gets blocked, but he draws contact. And let's see.
You see that happen all the time, right? A guy sits down in the paint and watch, all of a sudden everyone vacates.
Yeah.
Like Colin Gillespie does that. You kind of joke about where he sits down, draws 3-4 defenders, and if you wait a second, they all just leave. It's just hard. It feels like that time Kelly sat there, it probably felt like 5 seconds. It was half a second.
Kelly another free throw. Felder back in. And it's all Florida. They lead by 25. Block, little ball fake, gets into the paint, flips it up and in.
BC's they're just being beaten off the bounce.
Yeah.
And that's what I say. Who's your emotional leader? That's what I want to see. Who's your emotional leader? You've got to find it in yourself to just say, grab a guy by the jersey and say, get a stop. Do whatever you need to do to get a stop. I don't care if we're down 20 or 2. Get a stop. Just too easy for Florida, but certainly Dustin.
NcaaAF, you get number 5 Louisville against number 20 DePaul right here in Bubbleville from the Mohegan Sun Arena in Connecticut. Ryan Rucco, Rebecca Lobo. Yeah, that's a look at Bubbleville. And our game right here, it's all Gators. John Shambi, John Crispin, thank you for joining us. Boston College basketball. See if they can get heat going. Step back, jumper, and that misses everything out of bounds. And it'll stay with BC.
I feel like we've said this all week, but every situation, every minute, every different scenario in the game is an opportunity to learn a little something about your team, learn who's who, learn who's going to take over, learn who's going to fight, learn who's going to make a good decision. And you don't put too much weight in this because as a coach, it's not that you have excuses. You have legitimate reasons as to why you just didn't show up. And you're going to correct it because you didn't have the prep. There's so many reasons as to why you just didn't play well. I feel like coaches will accept the struggles a little bit more so long as they're correctable issues.
Karnick to the corner and Heath. And he's just off as Karnick able to pull down the rebound. Felder will try a 3. And that rattles out. And eventually it ends up in the hands of DeRuggi. It'll stay with Florida. I think what you were touching on earlier in some of these games where you're used to the crowd and the energy of the crowd influencing a comeback or holding on to a lead. I'm super curious. Like, I don't know off the top of my head what the average home court, if you just did it Power 5 conferences.
Yeah.
In your average home court Power 5 conference, what's the winning percentage for a conference home game and over the last 10 years? And then will it change in any marked way this year?
It's really hard to say, but I've got to think so. I mean, look, I played in the Big Ten. I was playing Pac-12 too, but really the Big Ten is what I think of in terms of attendance. They lead it in attendance year in, year out. And coaches will say it is just impossible that's going to count. Impossible to win on the road no matter where you go.
Right.
You think the run Rutgers made, they lost one game at home all year last year. That's the rack. No one thinks of Piscataway as this metropolis of great basketball. No, it's a great place, and it's a difficult place to play. Obviously, you go to the Breslin Mackey, it's so loud. It has to play into it, because what it'll do, it'll feel like some of those under the radar, off the books, what do they call them? Kind of like scrimmages that teams play but didn't really play. No one really knows about. But those special media members are
closed door
scrimmages.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like. And you just wonder, will there be the sense of urgency? Who do you? I like the teams that have experience, and I keep saying, guys who have just a little bit of sand left in the hourglass, where they know this is it. And we want to make a nice run because I might not be back, and I'm going to bring everything I've got. I feel like those are the guys that have the best chance to have a sustainably high-level season, because I just feel like there's going to be some ups and downs, and you got to make your own energy. There's just so much that is just different this year that you can't predict.
On a daily basis, are you quantifying time by sand in the hourglass frequently, or how does that work? Just curious.
If I'm not looking at shadows in the sun, yeah. I don't even know. Where's outside? How do we get outside?
You were just about to have a conversation with the producer right there, and America had not heard his question to you.
Goodness gracious. Yeah. That's where I'm at.
I'm right there with you. Scott Gustafson said, you haven't been outside in a while. And John was about to answer him. And I was too, I'm going to be honest with you. We're all mumbling to ourselves. Locke gets it over into the front court. Like sands through the hourglass, so are the days of our lives. Florida by 22.
A bigger role around guys like Keontae Johnson, Scotty Lewis. You become a more balanced attack, and now you add Appleby to that mix. You've got playmakers. The biggest thing to me, Trey Mann, 17 points, 6 assists, no turnovers.
Yep, and doing it in almost 22 minutes. So taking care of the ball. There is a steadiness that he seems to possess as they get it to Johnson. Feed inside. Payne, left hand. That'll go.
He does. You know, and that way you can play these two guys together in terms of Mann and Appleby, and you have multiple playmakers. Right now, you would say it's a small lineup, but Keontae Johnson's nothing small about him. Scotty Lewis has great length, so you could play a smaller lineup like this and have multiple playmakers.
Karnick all the way to the goal. The Lehigh transfer with the bucket, making his debut in a BC uniform.
It's just another one of those guys. How do you fit in the rotation? That's travel.
Traveling violation. Ball State College substitution number 41.
Do you think he traveled? Seemed like it, right?
Yes, he did.
It's always funny to watch when guys argue with what seems to be a pretty obvious foul. Look, I know as a player I never fouled, and I hacked every single time down floor. So there's that party, but like sometimes it's like, dude, he took 4 steps, man.
I also would say, anecdotally, I don't feel like they call it very much.
Not enough. Well, the NBA doesn't help that. You know, now kids are being taught how to do what I refer to as the double step back. The James Harden step back. And every time I watch it, I'm like, hey, look, guys, we don't have the gather rule in college basketball. It's a travel.
Right.
And quite frankly, I don't care what you call it in the NBA. It's still a travel, man.
Now Mekhi Ashton-Langford taking it aggressively to the bucket. And the Providence transfer draws the contact. They get Mann. That's his 4th with 10:05 to go in the ball game. And it's all Gators.
Number 4, Mekhi Ashton-Langford.
I'm really, look, it's good to see Florida play well considering their struggles yesterday. You expect that. They had rust all over them, cobwebs, whatever you want to say, hadn't played a game. And you can't say enough about what it's like to just play a game. That's why these exhibition games that we haven't had are so important. That's why those closed-door scrimmages are so important. But Boston College, I've been impressed with. I really have in terms of their toughness, their ability to get downhill. And we just haven't seen it come together here at all tonight.
No, not tonight. The team that we saw play Villanova and give them a tough time, I thought was pretty impressive.
I mean, that first half in particular where Boston College was the aggressor. And, you know, typical Villanova fashion, they continued to do what they always do. They just kind of stick to their guns, sit down, make good plays. And eventually, as Jim Christian said, like, we stopped doing what got us the lead. Or at least kept us in the game.
Deontay Johnson throws it away to the corner. Tabs, three, won't go. Johnson the board. A steal there.
He just wanted another rebound.
Oh, my goodness. Things getting a little sloppy. And finally, Appleby takes it away. How about the springs on Appleby? Wowie.
Timeout, Florida.
Lead is back to 23.
All Tyson Anytizers chicken is raised with no antibiotics ever. They're a great decision for snack time. Letting your son's one-man band practice in your garage? Not a great decision. Keep it real. Keep it Tyson Anytizers.
I spent 9 years in and out of the prison system. Companies didn't want to take a chance on someone with a history like mine. But within 3 to 4 days of searching on Indeed, I was offered a job. They gave me an opportunity to make something of myself.
Coming up next on SportsCenter with Scott Van Pelt. We'll have the top moments of reaction from a busy slate of college basketball. Plus, as AD signs his max deal, how the Lakers managed to improve their championship team. And SVP shares his weekend winners. SportsCenter, SVP next, right here on ESPN.
How about some of those NBA deals, man? Unbelievable.
No doubt.
It's almost to the point where it's not really sports or athletes. They're entertainers. They're A-listers. They're movie stars.
Somebody just got a technical. And I think it was Jay Heath. Just a little frustrated.
His second personal. Team sixth at the line for Florida, 23, Scotty Lewis.
I think he may have uttered something he shouldn't have.
Well, look, if you utter anything, it's going to be heard.
That's a good point.
That's been the issue. I can't tell you how many technicals I've seen. I'm like, what did he do? Well, it's not what he did. He probably said something that you would never hear otherwise. But you know how loud it gets in arenas. And even in quiet arenas, it's loud.
Did you ever get tossed in college?
Never got tossed, no. Got a few technicals, but never got tossed. I wasn't good enough to get tossed. Like, I'm serious. Like, no, but what I'm saying, like, you have to be really good to get that angry to get tossed. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't be the third or fourth best scorer on the team and get tossed.
And Winston Tabs. At under 9 to go, the lead is 26 for the Gators. Been a two-man show. Deontay Johnson, oh boy. I mean, the soft touch to go with that type of physical player is pretty special.
But was that like a Patriots pick play on the goal line?
Yeah.
Did you see that? It's kind of a rub screen. I'm surprised they didn't call it. And that's probably why Jim Christian was mad. I'm telling you, that was a pick play at the goal line. I'm willing to bet that's what he's mad about.
They did give the tech on Jim Christian, or at least, yeah, the BC bench.
I mean, it has to be, because I saw this right away. Here comes Appleby. It's a pick play. Wes Welker just got, into the end zone.
Beat me to it, yeah.
The problem was, it took me like 30 seconds to come up with one. Julian Edelman, Wes Welker.
Danny Amendola. We got a whole truck full of Patriots fans.
How's that working out for him?
Wow.
Got rid of a 43-year-old, got Superman. How'd that go, huh?
Ashton Langford inside, hangs, drew the contact, but no call, and it'll go the other way.
I like that kid's game, though. I really do. He gets into spaces that aren't even there. He just kind of works his way into the defense. He's going to get better and better at creating the contact and forcing the foul. I think at times young guys forget how to do that because they can't use their athleticism the way they did at the level that they played prior.
Johnson, jumper, got it.
He's got a quiet 24.
Mitchell, jumper, short, flying in is Mitchell, putback is good. 7:32 to go in this one, and BC down big.
30 seconds out. Boston College.
He can do it and have a good time.
Doubling up BC points in the paint. And our game track brought to you by Roman. BC just have not been able to slow down this Gators attack. Right there, Mitchell steps in the passing lane, steals it up ahead. Kelly to Felder, and they get the block, but a foul on Castleton.
You always wonder about these games, how a coach is going to go back and view it. You know, BYU the other day came out against USC, just couldn't make a shot.
Right.
It got looks, just couldn't make a shot. So what do you do with that tape? Do you burn it? I mean, because it's not, you're not going to get anything out of watching it. I look at this and I go, what do you take from this? If you were to watch this tape, you would just be nitpicky and say this and that and this. When really, they have the talent. If you match the energy level, if you communicate, if you play with a sense of urgency, this should be a pretty evenly matched game based on what I've seen from Boston College already this year. So this is just one of those games where you just go, wow, we didn't have it. It's also been a lot of time. The team, they've been around. This is a strange routine. There's no real set routine for teams this year. This has just been a strange routine. So you always wonder how that plays into it.
And goes to work into Castleton on Mitchell, left hand, little strong, tabs a rebound. Shot blocked, Felder picks it up and he gets fouled.
Castleton's much more of a presence defensively than I thought he would be. You know, I think he's anticipating well. He's keeping his eye around the ball. I think it's a team defensively that could communicate a little bit more, particularly on the backside. I think you got to have good backside communicators. You know, guards get dancing all over the place. The guards get switching a lot. But as a backside guy, you need to make sure guards are aware of what's behind them. It's just, those are the best defenders. The best communicators on the back end, those end up being the best defenses.
Lead is 26. man has been super impressive.
My thoughts exactly.
Florida fouls on 22, Tyree Appleby, his third.
I don't think you can be, I don't think your feet could be shoulders width apart and get that call. I don't think he was wide enough to get the call. It was good defense. Yeah. You know what would have been a good call?
No call.
Three-point hit for number 1, CJ Thunder.
Appleby quickly down the other end. Clock at our bug stopped there for a second, but
19 foul against the
clock
Gators.
in the arena is still working. So it's Mitchell at the line. Back to that play with NcaaAF and Langford drawing the charge. It's one of those things, I guess in the end it's part of the sport. I would say that there's just an element of playing defense that involves selling the call.
Yeah. 100%. I mean, you take the little dive. I mean, look, I give him credit. First off, he's still giving effort, but he took it on the chest and then extended backwards. And we're so sensitive about deceiving the officials, right?
I don't think we're too sensitive to
No, but
it.
I'm saying, well, not us, but they have all these rules like the flop rule. Why do they not like the flop? Well, because you're trying to deceive the official.
Yeah.
That's all part of the game.
Yeah. Yes and no, though.
I don't like it, but that's just what it is.
Here's what I would say to you, though. Where if you keep deconstructing it, whether you want to do the soccer analogy or not, I don't know that it's cool that it's part of the game as it relates to doing something to make the official think that something happened that didn't, that can so drastically affect the game. That Jordan can get fouled out of a game because a call didn't actually happen. That you could foul Messi out on a red card by flopping. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I don't like it.
Yeah.
But it's a reality of the game. It's a way of manipulating the game. And manipulating the game doesn't sound good, but we're all humans, so it happens. Guys are going to do whatever they can do to gain an advantage.
Right.
You know, within the boundaries. If you really want to punish people for doing that, make it more than a warning. Make the flop more than a warning.
Right.
You know, I just think that's part of it, but
I think that whatever, as a culture, what I would say is offensively and defensively, I would almost, I'll put it this, I'm going to say something dumb, but, you know, get in line because I say a lot of dumb things. I would say the majority of the time that a player hits the floor, he doesn't need to hit the floor.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, guys get hit on shooting jump shots and then fall down.
Yeah, but some of the greatest in the sport, LeBron James. Guy's 6'9", 360 pounds of just muscle, and somehow someone knocks him to the ground.
But again, you know, that's one of those, wow, that's a nasty collision right there. Good sportsmanship from DeMar Langford Jr. Knocked his shoe off. Jeff Van Gundy, I think, does a really good job of emphasizing the point. And here's, shoe. Now that's a legit collision. He makes this point that bigger guys and smaller guys get officiated differently, and that's one of the problems.
Yes. Well, and the other thing is, guards in particular run into a big, and the arms go back and the head goes back. And it is to get the call. It is in a way manipulating the game, deceiving the official.
But it's not what happened.
It's not what happened. I almost wish, I mean, look, I almost wish there was a way to have quick reviews. Somebody over there that says, whoa, you got it wrong. He cheated the game.
Yep.
And assess the foul on him. You've got, if you really want to get rid of it, then you have to punish somebody for doing it. That's
no, you're right.
It's kind of the way it is. But everybody's going to do whatever they can do within the framework of our rules to gain an advantage.
No, and it's something within multiple sports that's taken place for a long time.
At least we don't have it like some of the big leagues in soccer where guys rolling all over the ground and the stretcher comes out.
Right.
You know,
but this is some version of that.
It's close. Sometimes it gets close. Where you see some. I love the Sports Center. They do the greatest flops. Oh my goodness.
Right.
And you see guys that are just massive, great athletes, flying all over the place, and it really is just to gain an advantage. Yeah, it's annoying, but I think there's a part of it. It's like that's so long as you allow it to the point where you don't punish it, they're going to do it.
I think this. Yes, you're right. I think that, for the people that sort of honor the gamesmanship component of it, I think that it just gets to be a slippery slope of, at a certain point, the officials are out there calling what's supposed to be on the court happening, and then a guy gets 2 fouls because somebody deceived the official into thinking there were fouls on plays that there weren't.
I go back to something I said before, too, and I think these officials are not given enough credit.
Absolutely.
Not given enough credit for how good they really are and how much feel they really have.
All right, more gasbaggery from us. The mayor says farewell from Bubbleville. What? ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Roman. Yeah. Well, I've enjoyed the stay here. I really have, but it's been fun. John Shelby, John Crispin. Special thanks to our entire crew here, because I will be exiting the premises after, 12, 13 days. But I want to say thanks to Scott Gustafson, Mike Roy, and our entire crew for producing the heck out of these games. Thank you so much for all of your hard work. And, I got to do a lot of basketball. Those guys produced your games with Kevin Brown. KB is going to be sticking around.
Can you imagine how tired of me they'll be?
The truck just roared. How tired of me? Yeah, I know they're tired of me. Got a really good women's basketball game tomorrow as DePaul and Louisville will get together. Foul there, and then on Saturday we got NC State and UConn will be playing here in Bubbleville. What'd you think about UConn against USC? I mean, that's a good win for Danny Hurley.
Yeah, I think they were tougher than I expected.
Yeah.
I really do. I thought they were physically tough and mentally tough, and a lot of that comes from their coach. Third year, he's starting to really see the program look like a reflection of himself, and that's what you want. That's why you hire a certain coach, is you want your program to look like that. James Bouknight is a pro. And he's a guy that down the stretch I think needs the ball more. He needs to be more demonstrative in taking it. But they have good balance. They're physical. They're strong. Cook, if he gets back, that's a very good team. But the most exciting thing about it is they're back in the Big East. I think, no offense to the American. Look, the American's still a good conference. It just wasn't the right fit.
Yes.
So it's nothing ill towards the American, but the UConn belongs in the Big East. I think Dan Hurley's going to be able to recruit players that fit the way the Big East wants to play, but also the way the Big East is very similar to the Big Ten. You have 3- and 4-year guys. You have program guys in that conference, so it's just a better fit. Good things all around.
Yeah, it's a different Big East than when they were in it back in the day, but it's still home.
Yes.
It's funny because one of the things that Danny Hurley liked to do during their time in the American Conference is they put a picture of the American Conference trophy on like an easel or on a stand and just have it at practice like this is what we're going for. And they don't have a picture of the latest Big East. It was a while ago when they were in the conference. They don't have an updated picture of the Big East Conference trophy. So they gotta get their hands on it. So they're heading over to Kinko's at some point, and I'm sure they'll make that.
I'm sure they got something in house.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's one of those things where when you think about the Big East, UConn's in that, especially kind of our more recent generation. I don't know what we are anymore. Are we the Gen X, Y, hipsters, what else is there? Millennials? Like, even within the last decade, I think you still think of Kemba Walker. I just think that's what you think of.
Sure.
Kemba Walker, that whatever, quadruple overtime, whatever it was. And UConn in the Big East at Madison Square Garden, it fits better. I really thought the way they played was impressive enough to think that they can do something in the Big East. I really do feel that.
And you look at the national titles that they won in, I mean, it's pretty amazing. 99, 04, and 11 was the years that they were able to win, but the mark that they made along with Syracuse, Georgetown, Villanova, St. John's in the Big East. And I just think it fits them better.
Absolutely. But, you know, when we talk about recruiting, it really comes down to that more so than anything else, because if you recruit right, you recruit to your style, you recruit to your personality, that in and of itself becomes sustainable and perpetual. And that's how you become a regular in postseason play. You become a regular contender in your conference and beyond. I think in the American, it was just hard to find the right fit that could be competitive in that conference, but also was a reflection of who Danny Hurley is.
So Jim Christian's team's going to fall to 1-3. We documented earlier, it is not an easy schedule. I mean, you play your conference games in the ACC, but they're basically going to spend the entire year playing power conference teams.
I go back to it. First half, Villanova looked great. I mean, think about the teams they've played. That's the thing. I mean, they've played serious competition, not really sure who we are and how we're all going to fit together, and then you're thrown to top 25 programs. I was more impressed with them than what I've seen tonight. So I'm not walking away from this saying this is who BC is. This is not who BC is. They just didn't play a good game.
Way off the mark from Derugi. As the seconds wind down, Kelly looking for some help. And that jumper from Kamari Williams. Walt Williams going to the Wizard.
Hell yeah.
It's his son. And that will do it. Florida a winner 90-70 over Boston College, as Keontae Johnson goes for 24, Trey Mann for 17, and a career high 6 assists for Mann. Florida shoots 57% from the floor. John Crispin, enjoyed working with you, pal.
Was my pleasure.
For our entire outstanding crew, this is Boog Shambi, the mayor of Bubbleville. So long. Florida wins it.